Isaac, start with first time being Wallabies camp as a Waratah. Do you sort of look around the TRS, start house hunting? Do you see sort of by the way?
Yeah, sort of maybe not around Coogee. I think a bit too expensive. But I'll be definitely looking around, and probably come December I'll move over from Melbourne. So weather's pretty nice, so I'll be looking forward to that.
Now coming into these camps where it's not like June or July where you're looking for that first cup, you're an established Wallaby now. Like what's that sort of mindset now that you're sort of preparing and going through the sort of the process towards heading to UK for a Grand Slam tour?
Yeah. It's been a couple firsts this year for me. So going north will be the first time for me with the Wallabies. So probably just keeping consistent with how I lead into trainings and then into games as well. Leaning on experienced guys and guys like Chrono around my scrum, which will be very important up there. They're very set piece dominant, very very physical up front. So I think leading into that, just keeping focused and maintaining sort of consistent setup throughout the week.
I was going to say, I was in here yesterday talking about the sort of not the pressure, but the crowds that you're going to expect. Hostile environment, Twickenham, Dublin, all over the place. Like, as an older player between him and Slips, have they spoken about what to expect and how to mentally prepare for something like that?
Not so much the crowds. I think more so the opposition. A little bit of a clinic today about what to sort of expect around the scrum. But not so much the opposition just yet. I think we'll wait till we're over there to really, soak in the atmosphere.
So these sort of Grand Slam tours don't come around very often, like the third one in 40 years. Are the players sort of, aware of the opportunity that's coming their way? Yeah,
our other forwards coach, Jeff Parling, he did mention it. He said, I think it was the first one since 2016. But it's a big opportunity, and I've said it before, anytime I get any opportunity I get to wear the gold jersey, it's a big opportunity for me. It's hopefully I can just keep going with that.
A lot of sort of Wallabies in the past have sort of made the mistake of saying we want to go through unbeaten. I imagine no one's going to start making bold statements like that.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll take it one game at a time. If we can knock off the first win and then look forward to the next one.
Isaac Kailea said last week that he still hadn't sort of settled in on a captaincy yet. Has there sort of been like someone that's taking charge a little bit, or is there someone that's sort of like leading the group a little bit as we head off?
I think we've got a number of leaders in the team. I don't want to leak anything about around the captaincy, but we've definitely got plenty of leaders. A lot of the experienced guys. A lot of guys. It's been quite consistent, the selections throughout the throughout the whole year, from the Wales test all the way up to now. So I think everyone kind of expects or knows what to expect around the leadership. We definitely look to certain guys to voice their opinions about how we're going.
Mike, obviously you've been at the job since April, not too long. How do you assess the Wallaby scrum since you've been in the job so far?
Yeah, they're going well. They're improving every week, and we had another big day today, and we've got a mixture, haven't we, of experience and youth, and that's great. And the young guys like Isaac are learning off the older guys, and so I'm actually enjoying it. And they've done from where they started. They've done well, and now we go into another baptism of fire up there, which is great. But you know what's coming, so that's great. Just go towards it, and I'm sure they'll do well.
Hey, like with the ABs, the expectation is they win every test, and they go up north. That's definitely the case. What's the expectation from your perspective with the Wallabies going up there?
Well, I think what we do every day, really. I mean, Joe drives that a lot about being intentional every day to everything we do, whether it be recovery or weights, or particularly when we put our boots on. You've got to be intentional what you're going to do. You don't just rock up and go through the motions, and we can't afford to do that. So I know it's a bit of a cliche that every day you try and be better than yesterday, but that is certainly being driven here because we've got, 17 or something debutants. They're learning, and you've got to learn quick. So I think they're all trying hard, I can guarantee you that.
What do you think? Is this scrum capable of doing a number on the English at the new name Allianz?
Yeah, they're capable of being competitive, and that's when you're competitive. When you can get in the ring, you're in the ring, aren't you? So These boys are going good, and they've come up against, you know, like South Africa and the All Blacks, and which has given them a good lead in, I think, up to Northern Hemisphere.
Mike, just quickly, you mentioned that, you know, especially for the debutants, they do have to learn really quick. And I know he's not under he's on the forward pack, but for someone like Joey Swaley, how is he, you know, do you think he can learn quickly?
Yeah, well, he's had a lot of rugby background as well, and he's fitted in really, really well. He's obviously a bright young man. He's a hell of a good guy, and he's obviously an athlete. So, from a broken down old forward coach, watching him at training, he's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Mike, how can you get a bit more out of Kailea? Obviously, he does well when he's on, but the minutes are managed. As a scrum coach, are you looking to maybe increase those minutes on the heavier pitches up north?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like even in the All Blacks, I didn't have my front rowers go past about 50-55 minutes because they become a defensive liability sometimes, and it keeps them a bit fresher for the following week. It's a long race, not a sprint. So I'm not one to leave guys on for 70-75 minutes forwards where I can. I try and rotate, and then what that does do, it keeps the starters a bit fresher for next week, but it gives the younger guys coming off the bench a lot more game time. Coming off for 5 or 10 minutes, I don't know what they achieve. But coming on for 30 minutes, you know, you can get into the game and achieve a lot, and that's how you reduce the gap between your best and not so best.
I think the way he's averaging in around just over 40 minutes. Would you want to get a bit more out of him ahead of this tour? Yeah,
well, generally speaking, like all the boys, we have a yarn at half time and see how they're travelling. You know, and they have a refresher at half time. If they can give us another 5, 10, 15 after half time, great. And we just monitor that and then hook them when we think they need a wee break. Yeah.
Isaac, do you like scrums? Like, do you relish the scrum battle at training, or is it a chore?
Nah, I think as I've become more experienced, I sort of look forward to them. First couple of years, you know, I'd see a knock on, I sort of put my hands in my head, I'm like, oh, here we go again. But I think now definitely it's sort of those nerves or that anxiety around the scrum, it's, you know, it's not really there anymore.
Isaac, what have you learned specifically? I know Angus speaks very highly of you and the bond you have off the field. And also Mike, what are kind of the things that you specifically learned off those two in terms of your scrummaging?
Off Chrono and Belly? Probably just around my setup, and like it was quite inconsistent sort of leading up to those July tests, and it's something I've been working on, and once I get that right, you know, everything sort of, it's a bit of a domino effect, and once I get my stuff right, the guys behind me can, you know, give me a lot of the weight and a lot of the layer force going forward. Yeah, so probably my setup.
Mike,
with Alan and Taniela, they both came back with pretty big injuries. From your experience, how long does it take for a prop to really find confidence and get back to life where they were previously, or even more?
Well, you know, Achilles, you know, they take a long time. They reckon it can take up to a couple of years, isn't it, you know, to get fully right again. So I know Alan, from where he came back from his injury at down in Canberra, you know, from how he was playing then to how he's playing now, he's making huge improvement. And he's getting around like a 21-year-old at the moment. You know, he's enjoying it, and his body's good. So, so to answer your question, I think it does take a wee while coming back from those big injuries, and you just got to monitor them at training. You know, like, you know, you're training a racehorse here. You know, you can't go too hard during the week to get him ready for race day. You just give them enough. So each week he'll get better.
Do you think we've been a little bit? There's been a lot of scrutiny, particularly around Kailea, but there has been a bit about Alan. Do you think that that's a bit unwarranted given the injuries and the setbacks that they've had over the last year or two? Yeah,
I think he's going great at the moment, particularly in the last couple of tests. You know, each week he's getting better, his body's getting better, and I'm very happy with where he's at the moment. Yeah, and he's leading well. He's a good leader.
Mike, when you spoke about wanting to be competitive with these teams, is that something perhaps that this group has lacked, like that mental belief that they can be competitive with these countries?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask the boys who are here before me, but I do know that these boys are going to be confident enough to go out against anyone and lace the boots up and give it everything they've got. And I'm very confident they'll be competitive, and we'll find out, you know, if they're good enough or not good enough. But they'll be ready. We'll be coaching them to be ready, and they're confident enough to go out there and put their best foot forward. I guarantee you that.
Mike, how are you enjoying this? You took the job in April, not exactly the easiest of jobs in rugby union. What's been your biggest surprise, and have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, it's. I was surprised with some of the skills they probably needed, probably at a younger age, you know, and we just had to go back a wee bit to make sure we nailed that and bring them through. But rugby players are rugby players. You know, I've been lucky enough. I've done a wee bit of coaching in 15 countries, so you get to know different nationalities, and every rugby player, I think, in any country are a bit the same. They bar up. They love doing what they're doing, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it, and they're very keen to get better. You know, so these guys are no different, and I am enjoying it. Yes, yeah.
Is there any specific examples about that, like the element of surprise?
Element of surprise. Oh no, the hardest thing was just to get to know the players. Like, who the hell am I looking at when you're watching a Super Rugby game? You know, what school they go to. Like, we're back in New Zealand, you knew them, you'd coach them. I'd coached boys, every All Black I'd coached at some stage in their younger career. So that was the difficult part, getting to know, trying to match the name with the face, and then their background and what made them tick, and then meeting them, introducing yourself and forming relationships. So that takes time.
Do you remember when you first met Kailea? Because he went through that New Zealand system.
Yeah, way back in New Zealand, I backed around and, yep, saw the big fella then.
It's changed a bit since then.
Yeah, he's delightful to coach. I really enjoy coaching him, and great character. He's probably the most explosive prop I've ever coached.
We've obviously got one of the young guns coming through and really showing their worth in Isaac. How do you feel about the guys behind the bellies and behind Kailea? Obviously Isaac has done really well, but how are you feeling with the depth of props that you've now got after so many debutants?
Yeah, well, we're sending away that Wallaby A team to play Bristol and the Saxons, and there's some really good front rows there, or really good players across the board, and some were unlucky not to make our squad. So I think having those two games is gold for their development. They can go along and pitch themselves against Northern Hemisphere teams. Two great games, and we'll be watching, you know, very closely. But that's all part of the development pathway for them. So, you know, so we've got 9 front rows, they've got 9. Well, there's 18, so there's a few.
Back home, this has been seen as, I shouldn't really say back home, in Europe, it's been seen as a bit of an audition for the Lions, so hugely competitive. Is that something you can really lean into when you're facing some of the best front rows in the world who are really trying to put their hands up for the Lions?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be my 3rd time coaching against the British and Irish Lions, so that's pretty special to me, because I don't think these young men actually understand how big it is yet. You know, they understand what a World Cup is if they've been to one, but British and Irish Lions is something pretty special, and the country will find that. You know, they're tremendous fans. They fill your country up, and every camper van's booked, and off they go. You know, and the crowd is unbelievable. You know, I think it'll be a really huge experience for the Wallaby boys who haven't experienced that before, and for some of them, you know, can play their career and never play against the British and Irish Lions, just the way it is every 12 years.
You had 05 and 17. How do you think this Lions tour, what will it do for rugby in this country? Because as you say, a lot of people don't really realise how big it's going to be.
Yeah, it'll be huge. You won't know until the army arrive, you know, like they just take over. What I did find, I can tell you now, that they're one of the best crowds I've ever coached against. Their supporters are wonderful, you know, they're rugby knowledge and very supportive of both teams. They tend to spend a lot of money in your country, you know, so they're going to be happy, I'd say. Yeah.
Do you think
Last couple, please.
Do you think the English scrum is going to be the biggest test of the 4?
Oh, I think it's any dog on his day, you know, but the interesting thing is, my last role was World Rugby. I was an advisor for all those coaches which includes all the four scrum coaches in the team we're going to play. So I'd do Zooms with them and advise them and help them, or pat them on the back for good work they're doing, you know, on behalf of World Rugby. So now you can put your other hat on and put your whistle around your neck and say, well,
Just quickly, I don't know how much you've had to do with him sort of over the years, but I know over the last couple of days, Phil Waugh said he's potentially, you know, open to having talks with bringing Israel Folau back in. You know, a lot of stuff that has to happen behind the scenes, but I guess where do you see him fitting into the side if he was to be allowed to come back?
I wouldn't know. All I know is I know his wife was an outstanding New Zealand netballer. So
He did all right as well last night, but I guess, you know, would you be keen to see him back in the green and gold?
I don't know how fit he is, how his body is or anything, so there's people well above my pay station make that decision.
When you were talking about those skills that were perhaps missing in some of the players, Tane spoke yesterday about his time in the NPC and how valuable that was, and he said it kind of got him his jersey. Is there perhaps something missing in these lower tiers of rugby in Australia that is not prepping the players just quite enough for the national setup?
It is a big jump, isn't it, from club rugby to Super Rugby, and we've always known that. I think in the past I've had a go at finding a competition in the middle, and it is a big jump for the boys. You know, there's no way around that. Moving forward, it'd be ideal if it could be done to find a stepping stone from club rugby to something before you go to Super. That would help them with their progression. How it's to be done, I do not know. Everything costs money, but it would be great for them to do that, because at the moment they're taking a very, very big step. It's a very big step from Super to international now, particularly that we don't have the South Africans playing in our Super Rugby competition. That gap is extended without them being in here. So now they're going from club rugby to international. It's a very big gap.